Did you know the Young Turks have 18 different shows? Become a TYT member and get all of them. Click the link in the description box below.
Matthew Whitaker is the person who will be serving as the acting attorney general now that Jeff Sessions has been forced to resign. And Donald Trump has been fielding all sorts of questions about Whitaker following the announcement. And one of the concerns is that Whitaker has not been confirmed by the Senate. Another concern is that Whitaker is just there to help Trump with this Mueller investigation. But Trump denies all of this. In fact, during a press conference that took place today, Trump denied even knowing who Whitaker is. Take a look.
Well, Matt Whitaker, I don't know Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker worked for Jeff Sessions, and he was always extremely highly thought of, and he still is. But I didn't know Matt Whitaker. He worked for Attorney General Sessions. He was very, very highly thought of, and still is highly thought of. But this only comes up because anybody that works for me, they do a number on them. I didn't speak to Matt Whitaker about it. I don't know Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker has a great reputation, and that's what I wanted.
Okay, so did Trump know who Matt Whitaker was before naming him as the acting attorney general? I don't know, let's see. As Sessions' chief of staff, Whitaker met with the president in the Oval Office more than a dozen times, normally accompanying the attorney general. When Trump complained about the Mueller investigation, Whitaker often smiled knowingly and nodded in assent. That's according to the Washington Post, but there's more. According to Vox, the Associated Press reported that Trump had enjoyed Whitaker's cable TV appearances before he joined the Justice Department, and that the two men soon struck a bond. But there's more. The Associated Press also reports that Trump told associates that he felt that Whitaker would be loyal and would not have recused himself from the Russia probe as Sessions had done.
But there's more. He said in an interview on Fox, quote, "I can tell you, Matt Whitaker's a great guy." He went on to say, I know Matt Whitaker.
This man would deny knowing his own son, and he just may after the indictment, because it's just crazy.
He said 3 times, you saw it, I don't know Matt Whitaker. I don't know Matt Whitaker. On Fox and Friends on October 11th. I know Matt Whitaker. So look, for the Trump fans, which Trump do you believe? No, it's a real question. Like, do you think that the Trump on October 11th was telling the truth, or Trump today was telling the truth? And which one was lying? Does he know him or does he not know him? I'm curious what's in your head. Leave a comment below.
I think, honestly, at this point, I genuinely think that people who support him are amused and entertained by him, and it ends there, right? Yeah. They know he's lying. Come on, like they can't be that stupid. They know he's lying, and they're amused by it because it's what Trump symbolizes is an online troll, right? Yep. So, and he's trolling all of us, every single one of us.
Yeah.
Whether wittingly or unwittingly, he's trolling us, and his supporters are amused by it. That's my theory on all this.
Yeah, that's why sometimes I call him Donald J. Troll. And look, that's why the right wing has this thing of like, you guys got triggered by him, right? But it's like such a weird thing. I never understood it. Like somebody does something stupid and you go, what, that's stupid. And they're like, oh, you're triggered. What? No, I'm just pointing out the incredibly dumb or false thing you just said. So, and I think you're right. And right before the story, Anna was explaining how Trump might replace Wilbur Ross with one of the co-founders of the WWE. And so, he's just trying to complete idiocracy, right? Bringing in as many wrestling people as possible. But Lindsey McMahon, who also, married to Vince McMahon, who founded WWE, is the head of the Small Business Administration. So it's all one giant show. I can't wait for Stone Cold Steve Austin to be the Secretary of Treasury. So on the other hand, The Rock might run for president. So, this is what this has devolved to.
Yep.
But the guy is indisputably a hilarious, weird, pathological liar. He just can't, and the reason I say pathological is not just because of the intensity of his lies, the frequency of his lies. It's because it's literally he can't help himself. That's why it's pathological. If you said to him, hey, Donald Trump, it's gonna get you in a world of trouble and you might get arrested or you might be thrown out of office if you say that you don't know Matt Whitaker because that's a clear lie that they can prove, so don't do it. He'd be like, yeah, no way, I'm not gonna do it. You're right, that's a bad idea. And then he gets in front of a conversation, I don't know him. I don't know Matt Whitaker. I've never met him. He can't help himself. It's a sickness.
He definitely, he has this thing where you think someone doesn't have the audacity to do it, and he'll go ahead and he will do it. And I think it almost kind of spurs from his childhood and growing up with privilege and just being able to push the envelope and keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And to the point where he doesn't even know what's reality and what's true and what's a lie, and he's just having fun with it. It's just, unfortunately, to our demise.
Yeah, it's maybe you're right. Another disease he has is affluenza.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
But now let's get to the really, really serious part of this. I mean, it's fun to make light of it because he's such a goofball and such an obvious, preposterous liar. But Whitaker can close down the Mueller investigation of Donald Trump, and that's crazy. So Whitaker is a partisan political hack. We got another story later for you guys from TYT Investigates that shows Whitaker has been deeply political and a Republican hatchet man for a long time. The only reason anybody knows him is because he went on TV saying that the Mueller investigation was a witch hunt. Okay, so you think Trump doesn't know that Whitaker called it a witch hunt? Of course he knows. That's why he picked him. So and now there's a good question about whether naming him interim attorney general is even constitutional because he hasn't been confirmed by the Senate. That normally what happens is if the attorney general steps down, the deputy attorney general who has been confirmed becomes the attorney general. But in this case is Rod Rosenstein who appointed Mueller in the first place. So Trump's like, no, I'm not gonna follow the law on that. I'm just gonna take this schlep from Fox News who was, who had then gone into the Justice Department, and I'm gonna say him. Whitaker, the guy that I know, the guy I've had a lot of conversations with, the guy I praise for saying the right things about me and potentially being loyal to me, that's the guy I'm going to make interim attorney general. It's a good case to be made that he's not even allowed to do that.
And then it becomes a problem because then if he does go ahead and do something, the constitutionality of it will be questioned. And so if he's out there making a bunch of decisions and moves, is it even gonna be valid and is it even gonna be lawful? And something to build off of what Cenk had mentioned before, it's a matter of going before the Senate and having confirmation because somebody in this role as interim attorney general should be neutral and shouldn't come off as one-sided. And Whitaker completely and totally does that. So not having a Senate confirmation, it really does an injustice to the American people who don't have even a seemingly appearable neutral attorney general.
What's amazing to me is getting someone like Whitaker confirmed, especially now, wouldn't be that difficult. If Trump had a little bit of patience and just kept Sessions during the lame duck session and then waited for the Senate to confirm Whitaker, you think the Republicans weren't gonna confirm Whitaker immediately? They have the majority in the Senate. They would have, but who knows? Maybe he was concerned that Mueller would release the report during the lame duck session, which
might happen. So look, Mueller releasing it during the lame duck session makes a lot of sense. We knew he wouldn't release it before the election once it got too close, within 2 months or so. And knowing Mueller, he wants it to appear as little political as possible. So he likely does not want to wait till the Democrats are in charge of the House. He's going to want to release it when the Republicans are in charge of the House to say, hey, look, it isn't political, man. Republicans are in charge of the House and the Senate. I'm just telling you what I know. This is what my investigation said. Now, Trump knows that. He's in a cold sweat panic. A story we did earlier in the show. I mean, there's the Russia investigation, but on the campaign finance violations, he clearly broke the law. It's Wall Street Journal broke that story. He has intent. They have the documents to prove it. They have the phone calls to prove it, and they have 2 witnesses to prove it. He broke the law on purpose, knowingly, and received in-kind contributions to cover up affairs that he had. So now he knows that. He knows they have all that stuff. So as soon as the election's over, he's like, okay, Sessions, you're out. Whitaker, hatchet man, you're in. Interim attorney general, constitutional, who cares? If Mueller drops it, you fire him. Get it, do whatever you gotta do, end this thing.
Mueller might have made one of the biggest mistakes by waiting until after the midterms. Look, I get the reasoning for doing this. I get that he doesn't want it to look political, but this is Game of Thrones. Like, throw out your Daenerys Targaryen fairness obsession and get the report out, get it out. He should have gotten it out because now there is definitely a case to be made that Whitaker will end this Russia investigation, that he will take action.
But it doesn't. I actually think it doesn't matter that much, and I'll explain why real quick. So yeah, I mean we know what this Whitaker dude's going to do. His whole career, all he's ever done is. And ironically, as the TYT investigation showed, he did a witch hunt against a Democratic politician. And so we know what he's going to do. But remember, guys, Mueller has already said that he doesn't think that he could indict a sitting president as special counsel. He thinks that's a political question. All he could do is present evidence. So even if you fire him, the Democrats now control the House. They could just call him up as a witness. And he could just give all the evidence he has. And then the House would have to decide whether to impeach or not impeach. And then it's a political decision for the Senate on whether they want to convict. So either way, that information is definitively going to get out. Even if the Democrats didn't control the House, it would have leaked, but now it doesn't have to leak. They could officially, legally present all the evidence that they have against them. And it's not like Mueller was going to bring him to trial anyway. So it's still the same thing. These are panic moves of a panic guy.
Yeah, and he is starting to really unravel. Yes. You can see it from the 2 press conferences that he's had since the midterm elections. I mean, he's very short with journalists right now, as we all know. He took press credentials away from Jim Acosta for asking, in my opinion, a benign question about why Trump is referring to the caravan as an invasion, even though we've known about them trying to make their way to the United States for a while now. And so he's acting out, and I'll give you an example of that. So during the press conference today, a journalist from CNN asked him a simple question about what he wants Whitaker to do in regard to the Mueller investigation. And his response was very Trump-like, but also it enraged me because of who the journalist is. So take a look.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to?
That's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
That was Abby Phillips from CNN. Is it any surprise that she happens to be a black woman and Trump referred to her as stupid? Because that is a criticism that he specifically reserves for black people. Whether it's Maxine Waters or LeBron James. I mean, over and over again, he uses low IQ and stupid for a very specific group of people.
Even Omarosa, who he has hired over and over and over again, but the minute that he fired her, he's like, oh, she's stupid. And so look, if it was just one person, no, he can't call anybody stupid. That doesn't mean it's racist, right? For example, Kanye West, stupid. Okay, but when you only call African Americans stupid, and almost every time you refer to an African American, you call them stupid, we sense a pattern here, right? But more to the point here, Anna's right. I mean, that is as legitimate a question as you could imagine. How could you possibly think that somebody wouldn't ask you that question? You put Whitaker in, who's a deeply political guy. Everybody's going to ask you, did you tell him something about the Robert Mueller investigation? Is that why you put him in? If they didn't ask that question, if any of the reporters didn't ask that question, it'd be super weird, right? That's the most obvious question. And so instead of being ready for that question, he panics and goes, you're stupid, you're stupid. I mean, how childish.
Exactly, yep, he resorts to personal attacks, and especially when it's a black person, and especially a black female. You know, he'll make those attacks very direct instead of answering the basic question that he should be prepared for. And this is who he is.
Yeah.
And so last thing on the racial part is that you get the sense from him, he thinks like, how dare you?
Yes, yes.
Who is this person to ask me a question?
Yep.
Right? So, but again, back to the most important part of this story, which is tick, 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 tick. He's on borrowed time, right? And the panic. So they ask about Mueller again, and funny enough, he doesn't call those people stupid. Anyway, he says, well, Mueller was not Senate confirmed, referring to how Whitaker is not Senate confirmed. But Mueller's special counsel. He's not the Attorney General. He doesn't have to be Senate confirmed.
Exactly.
But he never, aren't you embarrassed? Is there anything that's going to embarrass you if you're a MAGA guy?
No.
Like the fact that he doesn't know anything about our government and that he flaunts it. George Bush had the decency to be embarrassed at how little he knew, right? But Trump thinks like, oh yeah, how come Mueller wasn't confirmed? He doesn't have to be. Whatever, stupid.
It's just embarrassing, man.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.